Okay, you're all set.
Great. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us today. It's lovely to see you all and have you here with us. My name is Jacob Carter, and I'm based out of the Partnership for Worker Education here at UMass, and I want to welcome you to this year's Building Bridges virtual showcase. This is our second week of sessions, and we're really glad that you're joining today. Just a few housekeeping items. We have folks on mute for now, and we're casting this also to Facebook, and we do also have a live transcript, closed captioning for folks if that's helpful. Let's get right into the agenda for the day. And so for today's session, we'll start out with a land acknowledgement, and then we'll have remarks from Dr. Neff Walker, who's the Vice Chancellor for Equity and Inclusion. We'll do a showcase overview to make sure that y'all know how to access the webpage and the virtual galleries, where we have more than 70 artists and makers, UMass staff, on their work on display. And then we'll move on to our photo voice projects, and that's with Jessica Claros de Funes, Joy Jarm, and Carol Landry. So let's go ahead and start with our land acknowledgement. So we're beginning all of our sessions by acknowledging that UMass stands on Nonotuck land, and we also want to acknowledge our neighboring Indigenous nations, the Nipmuc and Wampanoag to the east, Mohegan and Pequot to the south, the Mohican to the west, and the Abenaki to the north. And this is a land acknowledgement that comes from the 5-college Native American and Indigenous Studies programs. I want to thank them for providing that. I know that UMass is also in the process of developing one specifically for campus. And we do this because we're committed to honoring the truth of this statement. And also, in response to this, we're designing programming for the fall because we want to raise awareness about current issues, particularly those happening in the state and the historic decision to change the state flag and seal. And so we hope that you'll join us for that programming in the fall, as well as our other programming. And right now, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Neff Walker, who is the Vice Chancellor for Equity and Inclusion, also a faculty member in Eisenberg. And Neff, we're really thankful to have you here with us today.
Jacob, thanks for having me here today. And it's very nice to be here. I'm always excited to see the various artists and the displays that are showcased for this program. Good afternoon, folks. As Jacob said, I am Neff Walker. I'm a faculty member in Eisenberg, as well as a Vice Chancellor for the Office of Equity and Inclusion. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you today to our Immigrant Voices. Building Bridges is the first program that the Office of Equity and Inclusion partnered and sponsored from the very beginning. So late 2017, when we began as an office, this was one of the first things that we dedicated our resources, time, and energy to. So it certainly is near and dear to our heart. We've sponsored and partnered the annual Artist Showcase. Since the beginning, we've also partnered with Building Bridges for the Workers' Rights Human Rights film series, the Building Bridges art installations, as well as our Immigrant Voices project. So again, this is near and dear to us, and we are happy to be a part of this program in any ways, and we're happy to amplify the work of our community members. So thank you to Jacob and the team working with Building Bridges to ensure that this project continues to move forward and continues to be bigger and better every year. And thank you to all the participants for all of the energy, effort, and the beautiful work that you produce for this program, as well as the many others. So thank you, Jacob. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And as Neff said, this has really been a great collaboration, and we're really just deeply grateful for the support and ongoing support for all of the programming that's accessible to staff on here at campus and beyond, really. So it's wonderful to work together on this, and we're glad that you can join us. Especially thank you for signing in during your vacation. We really appreciate that.
No problem at all.
Wonderful. So Building Bridges, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Building Bridges writ large for those folks who aren't familiar with it. This is a public art and engagement initiative here at UMass, and it draws on the power of solidarity and creative expression to bring people together across difference. And as Neff mentioned, this started during a key moment in 2017, where the phrase "build bridges, not walls" was popping up all over the world. And a group of us got together at Center for Latin American, Caribbean, Latino Studies meeting and said, let's focus on the positive possibilities of building bridges, and let's see what we can do here on campus. And that's really how the project began to unfold. And so what we try to do is bring people together who typically wouldn't be in the same room, typically wouldn't be having a conversation with each other because of the different divides and silos that happen here on campus, to create a context for dialogue and reflection. And then oftentimes creating messages or artwork or both, and then sharing that back with the campus community as a way to stimulate dialogue and reflection on these critical social issues. And so just as a quick overview here, we have 4 core projects. We have Our Immigrant Voices, which we're focusing on today, with showcasing worker artists at UMass. We have the Building Bridges cards and art installations. And we have the Worker Rights as Human Rights project, which is a collaboration with the Labor Center. And we bring programming in a variety of different formats. We have courses for workers. Sometimes those also involve students. We have exhibitions of artwork. We have special events. We have different installations inside of buildings on campus so that you can encounter this work in your day-to-day routine and not necessarily expect it, but to learn about it in those kind of day-to-day situations. We also have film events, and hopefully we'll be gathering in person soon to have film events and lunch. And then we also have trainings. And just to give people a sense of some of the work we did in the spring, we had the Our Immigrant Voices course, we had the Showcasing Worker Artists course, and that's a group that's been very involved and really central in helping to make today's event happen. We also had We Are for Freedom's special course. This was with the UMass Museum of Contemporary Art and Amanda Herman. We'll be having an exhibition in the fall, which we'll let you know about later and invite you all to it. And then with the Labor Center, we partnered on a course about Ralph Fazenell and his Bread and Roses work, and that was co-facilitated by Pat Greenfield. And we had an event, a film event also with Ralph Fazenella. We invited Miwa Matreyek to do an artist talk and demonstration on her film, and that was a collaboration with the Fine Arts Center and Michael Sakamoto. And then we also had several events in combination and partnership with UMass Union's United Labor Chorus. We had monthly song swaps, and then we also had a session of discussion on music, resistance, and social movements with Professor Yemisi Jimo from Afro-Am and Professor Tom Jurevich from the Labor Center, and also Jerry Levinsky from the Labor Center. And so as you can see, we really have a lot of collaborators across campus, and we're always looking to do programming that's related to equity and inclusion, diversity on campus. And we're very thankful to all of our collaborators, and we're especially thankful to our organizing team. These are the folks that have been planning the showcase event now for months, to make sure that we're presenting all the artists in the way that they'd like to be presented, and to sharing those galleries with all of you. And I also just wanted to mention, when this all started and campus closure was happening, we had a campaign called, basically Show Some Love for UMass frontline workers, and recognizing that these were folks who were on site, still on campus, while many of us, myself included, were working remotely, but certainly not out of sight. And we gathered messages of support in different languages from other staff members and students here and shared those out. And I just wanted to revisit this because these are the folks who have been on campus continuously during this entire pandemic. And I know that people are starting to return to campus, and many folks are also just getting back to campus starting next week. And I know that it's going to be a challenging transition, and we just want folks to know that we are here to support that transition. And if there's a way that we can help out, through this kind of support and through the classes, please let us know. And we look forward to seeing you on campus very soon. And before we move over to our presentation, I just wanted to close out and remind everyone that Building Bridges is this active collaboration, right, between the office where I work, the Partnership for Worker Education, which is based out of Human Resources here, the Office of Equity and Inclusion, and Civic Engagement and Service Learning. So we're really, really delighted to have all of you here today for our presentation. And what we're focusing on today is the Our Immigrant Voices project. And this is a project that has been a part of the work since the very beginning. And what we've done over the years is to invite immigrant workers here on campus to come together, to get to know each other, to build community, and to share backstories and also messages, important messages with the campus community. You can imagine that during this last year, this has been all virtual. So we've met virtually through video chat over the time. And what we're going to do in terms of the order is I'll start off and I'll read just the opening panel, which is part of the series. And then I'll invite first Jessica Claros de Funes, then Carol Landry, and then Joy Jarm to read through their projects and to share their photos. And I did also want to mention that you're welcome to put comments and thoughts into the chat as we go, and then I can read those out to people as we move along. So let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen and show the first panel of our class here, and I'll read this out to you so that everyone can make sure you can hear and see it. So this is a course for immigrant workers offered through the Partnership for Worker Education, and this was specifically during spring 2021. And as I mentioned, because of the partial campus closure, this is a group that met through video chat for the entirety of the course. And the course itself endeavors to elevate and amplify the voices and realities of immigrant workers here on the UMass campus. And we strive to create a context for dialogue, inviting workers from different backgrounds and from different parts of campus to come together each week and discuss our experiences at UMass and beyond. Our class participants and their ancestors have come from different countries around the world, El Salvador, Poland, and the Philippines, and each with a different journey. The panels in this display are the result of our Photo Voice project. So course participants identified and then creatively documented issues that are important to them. And this is a participatory action research technique created by Carolyn Wang and Marianne Burris. And it invites people who are oftentimes overlooked to identify, represent, and enhance their community through photography. And in doing so, become catalysts for change. So participants discussed a wide variety of themes that are important to share their experience here on campus or from their work remotely, and that they wish to share back with the UMass community. So the images and the accompanying texts highlight the diversity of experiences at UMass, and also how these interactions shape people's day-to-day exchanges, feelings, and personal moments of reflection. And the text in this first slide here in the background spells out the phrase building bridges in 22 languages that are spoken here on campus. And these background voices suggest that if you look and listen closely enough to our UMass community, that many different voices can come together with one resounding message. And our course participants for this semester, I've already named them. I was honored to be the course facilitator this semester. And then we also had an important Photo Voice support team. And these are folks that helped us out along the way, that came into different sessions, provided feedback on photos, thoughts, and ideas. And that includes Jimena Gomez, Ebru Cardan, Fiana Herscovici, and Aseret Laparra. So we're thankful also to that support team. And I'm going to turn it over to Jessica now. This is her photo here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Claros de Funes. I work at a physical plant in the morning shift. I was born in El Salvador on May 21st of 1987. On June 14th of 1994, when I was 7, my mom brought me to the United States. I've been here since. I don't know any other place to be my home but here. I took this picture on a nice spring day because I live here in Massachusetts, and it's amazing how the weather can change so quickly. It makes me think of changes that I want to make as an immigrant. I became a US citizen in 2010, and I was hoping that would change the way people saw me. We want change to happen. It's not as easy as this. It's going to take time to change. People don't like me talking Spanish. They make fun of me. I hear them say, "Oh, I hear blah, blah, blah," when I'm talking. This picture was taken on my break, being inside, not being able to be out there. We spent the whole year inside of our houses thanks to COVID. When I can't be myself, a Spanish speaking person, feels like we're supposed to be locked in instead of being out. I almost feel trapped, like you can't speak your language because you're going to be judged. It makes you feel like you can't do anything. I feel like I'm not welcome in the United States because I'm from a different country, but I feel like I don't belong in El Salvador because I grew up here. You can see how fast the world changes outside. We go through life changes just like on Earth. Sometimes we wish it would be that easy, as in this picture. In a blink of an eye, it's a warm day in spring, then it's snowing. Changes I would like being made would, in, changes I would like being made would be, instead of making fun of someone because of their language, let's learn it so we can communicate with each other. We can also try their food to see where they come from and what their flavors are like. Because at the end of the day, we are different, but each of us can make a more welcome community for everyone.
Wow, thanks so much, Jessica, for sharing this picture and also this really personal reflection on some of your experiences here at UMass. And can you also just let folks know where this photo was taken?
This is School of Management, and it's the hub. It's one of the new buildings by Haggis Mall.
Mhm. And as you mentioned, this picture is from when you're taking a break, and it was a spring day, right?
Yes, it was.
And I love how in your description you talk about, you know, the surprise and how people can learn from the changes that occur in, you know, in Mother Nature. And also, I think that you know, that the sentiments that you share, even though they're very personal, you know, about wanting to be able to speak your language, wanting to feel belonging, they're personal to you, but we also know that those are felt by many folks on campus, many immigrant workers. And so it's not necessarily a message that people hear often. And so I just want to thank you so much for sharing it, because it is really important for people to hear about and to know about.
No problem.
And then I also just wanted to say that I really liked how you have this combination of struggle and hope, and that's something that comes out in all of the projects, really. But that you also propose what folks can do at UMass, right? As you can learn someone's language, and also you can try to get to know who they are, where they come from, and I think that's a really powerful message and something that everyone can take away from your project as well.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, it's hard, like not being able to speak your own language and being able to like learn other people's language. It's fun. I mean, we should try it. I work with people from Nepali. I work with people from different countries, and I try to learn the language. At least you know, just to say hi and communicate with them in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And we have lots of positive comments rolling in. beautifully spoken expression of your experience and the photo, muy poderosa. I'll share all of these with you later. Thank you for sharing. You speak from the heart. Thank you for your heartfelt reflection, for sharing your courage and your honesty. And I echo all of those comments as well. So thank you very much, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. And we're going to invite Joy Jarm to present her photo. Or actually, sorry, I think we're inviting Carol Landry to do hers now. And I actually have Carol on the phone here because we're having some trouble connecting. So I'm going to hold her up and we'll give this a shot here. Let's see. So, all right, can you all hear Carol?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Hi, thank you, Jacob. Hi, my name is Carol Landry. I work for the physical plant as a maintainer one nights from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. My father came from Poland and I was brought up speaking Polish. Here I am looking out my break room window at precisely 7:50 p.m. in Hampshire House in County Circle. I enjoy looking at a lot of different beautiful sunsets, but of course when it's not raining. I look out this window at break time. I wish I could be outside looking in. When I am at work, it seems everyone is at home. I miss my daughter taking her first steps. The screen window is like a barrier that I can see through but cannot go beyond it. But that's the sacrifice that we have to make. In the evenings, it can be scary because I hear students walking by drunk and talking or doing crazy things. That can be scary because we don't know what they will do. If I see someone who speaks Polish from my cultural background, I would want to go and speak to them and know more about where they come from in Poland. I would speak to them in Polish or in English, however they are comfortable speaking with me. It should be okay to speak different languages at work. When we start working, we have everyone separating themselves by standing in groups speaking different languages. Instead, we could try to speak to one another to get to know one another, regardless of what language we speak. If we create a function where all of us workers could be together to get to know one another, that would be fun for everyone. That would help to learn about each other's cultural backgrounds and to feel comfortable and not to judge one another. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carol.
Problem.
And so I'll just keep holding your camera up, but I just wanted to say that for folks listening, you could probably see that language was a theme that came out quite a bit in our conversations. And there's a particular phrase and something that you say, is that something like you should be able to speak your first language on campus, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Everybody should be able to speak, to each other, so, everybody gets along and does not judge people.
Mm-hmm.
But we all, are comfortable together.
Mm-hmm. And I really liked how you chose this kind of artistic photo where, you're looking out at this beautiful scenery, but you're also having feelings about, kind of like you have to be inside, you're the inside looking out and there's a barrier between you and what's going on outside. And, it must be challenging to have had these life moments. For example, you say, missing your daughter's first steps because that happened when you were working on the night shift.
Correct. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. And I think maybe a lot of folks don't really realize that people like you, Carol, and others are on campus until very late in the evening, and then oftentimes, might encounter, you talked about students, right? But students might not think, oh, what I'm doing would be scary to someone else. But I think that's a real eye opener for students as well to think, wow, I didn't realize that, what I thought was fun could actually be alarming or scary for someone else. I think that's also an important message that comes through.
Definitely.
Mhm. Great, and I can't see the comments coming in because I'm holding the phone up.
Okay, I can put the phone down.
I can read them for you if you'd like.
Oh, great, Lisa, that would be really helpful. Thanks.
Okay. Donovan asked, what a wonderful concept for a get-together where everyone could speak their own language. Thank you for sharing. You are right. We should all feel comfortable with others speaking different languages, but at the same time would learn to communicate with each other. Thank you, Carol, for sharing your perspective and your experiences. Your picture pairs perfect with your story. The screen window in your photo has so much meaning. Thank you, Carol. I loved how you described your photo through your work experience, and I loved your hopefulness about ways we can come together.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone. I appreciate the comments.
Mhm. Great, yes, and thanks, Lisa. I didn't mention as our fearless co-host, Lisa Korpieski, and thanks so much for reading out those comments. And Carol, I'm glad we could figure this out through FaceTime, Zoom, and Facebook. We made it work, so.
Yeah, thanks for your patience, Jacob.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we'll move along now to Joy Jarm and her photo. Let me pull this up here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joy Jarme. I work as the executive assistant for the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. As a Filipinx immigrant, I've always struggled to feel welcome. My family came to California when I was 9, and I was teased at school because of my accent. Spoiler alert, I lost it. I was regarded as other because of my dark skin and slanted eyes. I've since then learned to enter spaces with caution, hyper aware of how I will be perceived, particularly in terms of existing stereotypes about Asians and Asian women. Coming to Western Massachusetts as a person of color was a bit daunting. My husband and I moved to Amherst in the summer of 2019. Though I didn't have a background in higher education and I didn't previously go to UMass, I started as a temporary worker that fall. Because of that, I got to spend time with my current office and was eventually hired full-time. I started 3 weeks before the university transitioned staff to work remotely due to COVID-19. Because of the lockdown, I didn't get a chance to get to know anyone or really explore the area. So we started taking weekend drives and found this beautiful spot just off the road next to the Connecticut River. We've since returned several times for pandemic picnics, tailgating from the back of my truck to ensure appropriate social distancing. As an island girl at heart, I feel landlocked in Western Massachusetts, so this also doubled as a healing space where I could read, write, relax, and spend much needed time outdoors. And you can see in that photo too, Asians typically take off their shoes whenever entering a space, so we've taken off our shoes there. You can see in the photo the Purell, some water, so definitely some pandemic influences in that photo. But given the recent focus on anti-Asian hate and violence, I can't help but wonder if we are truly safe, even in this public place. I never know if someone driving or cycling by is going to say something, tell us to leave, or worse. But as the pandemic restrictions ease, I do look forward to returning on campus and getting to know the people and the town. I want to find support, or if needed, help create spaces where immigrants and people of color are truly welcome, where our histories, stories, and talents are not just recognized, but honored and respected. That would be my hope in sharing my story and this image. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joy. And thanks for providing this, the image and the accompanying reflections, and also some just additional details about the picture. And we talked about this in our sessions, particularly on a predominantly white campus and in predominantly white institutions, how these kinds of feelings and sentiments are oftentimes invisible to the majority of people that are on campus. And I think that your work in particular, highlights several different themes that are just really important for people to hear about and to think about. And of course, our sessions happened also during this real spike in anti-Asian hate and violence, and how distressing that is for people of color, for folks who identify as Asian American, and to think that the peaceful moments are also mixed with that tension and that concern, is something that not everyone, of course, would get out of looking at this photo.
I think also, it's worth it to be reminded that even though we're in this, I'm currently on campus right now. It's beautiful. There's trees, there's the river, but depending on who you are and where you come from, entering these spaces, like, for some people, sitting up by the river is fine. It's totally peaceful. It's great. But for somebody new, or for an immigrant, or for someone who's not sure about where they are, it can be a completely anxiety-ridden experience. So coming onto campus is kind of the same thing. Some people can walk onto campus and just be like, yeah, I own this place. I claim this space. But there are some people who come in who are like, I don't know if I'm welcome here. I can't just walk to this place or that place because I don't know how it works, And that's kind of, true of higher education as well. I kind of mentioned in the beginning that I wasn't sure if I could get a job at UMass because I didn't previously work in higher ed, and I didn't, previously go to UMass. So some institutions like to hire their own, which, is fine. Or, if you have a history with, but again, coming in as a new person, it's not always obvious where the welcome spaces are, even if the campus says that, oh yeah, we are, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But that's not always apparent on the ground. So.
Yes, and the theme of welcoming spaces, and then also your offer, in your closing thoughts about finding those and or creating those spaces, I think is also really important. And we have some really thoughtful comments coming in as well. Melinda said, thank you. And understanding the symbolism of the shoes makes the image almost welcoming. I feel like I could take my shoes off and join you. And Donna says, thank you for sharing. This photo is beautiful. And Michelle, Joy, I feel so bad that you felt you needed to change your accent to fit in. Thank you so much for sharing. Michael says, welcome, Joy. There's a lot of work to be done for sure. And thank you for your personal experience. Thank you for sharing your story. There are lots of great comments. Images encompasses so many critical concepts to grapple with. I hope you find safety and support at UMass. And they go on and on. And welcome. And my wish is that you and your family will experience support, respect, and open arms. And keeps going. So thank you everyone for putting in these really thoughtful and supportive comments. And I think that, your project is, and all the projects really are this call to action as well, right? That whether or not we hear about, or people in general hear about these experiences, know about these experiences, knowing and hearing these stories is really a call to action to everyone on campus to help create these safe and welcoming spaces and supportive spaces for each other. And so, of course, we hope that, building bridges as a conduit and as an avenue for helping to create those spaces.
Thanks, everyone.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Joy. And thank you, Jessica. And thank you, Carol. And thanks everyone so much for joining today. It's about 12:40, and we typically sign off around 12:30, but I'm glad that we could spend a little bit of extra time today in discussion. And I just want to thank our course participants and just remark on the courage that it takes to share these messages with new people in a new group, with each other, and then also, now with all of us in UMass and beyond. So I really do think that this is a welcome opportunity for anyone to get involved in our work and building bridges work. The courses themselves can be really supportive and welcoming open spaces. And so I encourage you to share this also with other people that you work with here at campus. And this is an open initiative. We have a wonderful working group made up of staff and students and faculty. We have the courses, and there are a lot of different ways to get involved. And so we hope that you do get involved and that you stay in touch. So thanks again so much to Jessica, Joy, and Carol. And their projects are also available on a gallery on our website. So you can go to our website, our virtual showcase, and see the projects, read them again. This video will also be posted to Facebook. And later this evening, we have another session at 8 p.m. with Andrew Serra, and he's going to be doing just a tutorial of jewelry making. He's a jewelry maker, and that's going to be hosted by Lisa Korpieski, who is also our co-host today. So thanks again, Lisa, and thanks to Dr. Neff Walker as well for joining us and sharing those opening remarks for our session. So it's been a wonderful session for this Wednesday. We're so glad that all of you could join us, and we encourage you to check out our showcase website, where you can see this work and then also the work of more than 70 UMass staff members. So thanks again for joining everyone today. Take care.